Hello, welcome back. Another episode of ABCD. Well, today I plan to talk about writing the chapter number 2 of a thesis. Well, you know, the chapter number 2, it says literature review. Well, we see that most of the researcher, when they write the chapter number 2, basically they start with writing the literature. And of course, you don't have to forget that you are actually doing a review, not a survey. So, what most of the people would do, they would do a very fantastic chapter number 2. They would talk about so many literatures which are very relevant to the area, but at the end of the day, they keep it open. Open in the sense they do it a survey. That means they have got ample of literature on the entire title that has been covered. So whatever is in the title, the literature is covering the all part. But the main problem is at the end, the researcher forgets to review it. So what I actually mean is, you cannot do a literature review unless you have a literature survey. So that's where most of the researcher goes here and there. They have an excellent survey. They cover the entire part of the literature. But what they forget is to criticize. The literatures are meant to be criticized because when you talk about literature, you literally have to say who said what, who did not say what. So what you are doing, you are basically dissecting the literature into smaller components. Now, from these smaller components, you as a researcher, you tend to find out that there is a gap in the literature. And this is the gap that you want to fill up. So, unless we criticize the literature, we cannot find there is a gap. So, at the end, we are doing a good literature survey without identifying a gap in the literature. So what as a researcher am I going to contribute? So the identification of the gap is so important. And no gap can be identified unless I do analysis. So I have to criticize, I have to review. Now, once I'm criticizing, once I'm reviewing, that means what? I'm trying to find out that according to A, according to B, according to C, exactly fine. But what A did not speak up, what B did not talk about. So from those gaps, my literature gaps has to be obtained. And remember, this is the gap that should be aligned with my research objectives. If I have got 4 research objectives, then from this gap, I should be able to fill up some part of those objectives, if not all of these objectives. Otherwise, I tend to find out something else which was never in my objective. So the gap identification is so very important. And of course, once you do the literature, you start, as I said earlier as well, you start with the global perspective, you narrow down to your regional perspective, then you further narrow down to the area where you are doing your research, maybe your country. Many of the researchers says there is not much research done in my country. Well, that can be a blessing in disguise. Why? Because whatever is your finding, that can add to the existing stock of knowledge in the literature. All right? So that's how we frame out our literature review chapter. And do you think that after that we'll be going to chapter number 3, the research methodology chapter? Well, if you think it was helpful, then do like my video, do share, and do subscribe to my channel. Until next time, with another eventful information, it is ciao from me.